everybody. Jeanette Anderson here today with Bodacity's Mentors Moment. So welcome. Today I want to talk about something really important. How do we actually make change? Change in ourselves, change in the world, change in our businesses. And we're going to look at one aspect of that. And that aspect is really a very simple thing, and that it all starts with courage. The courage to stand up, use our voice, and say what it is that we want. I saw a really inspiring video today that I'd like to share with you. I don't know if it will let me. I don't know how to do that, actually. Okay, go to Bodacity page, and there is a video on there from Goldcast that is, it says, "The world needs you" to share her message at the top. It's about a young woman named Greta Thunberg, Thunberg, and she is a young student. The video itself has 52 million, almost 53 million views. And essentially what she did, aside from being extremely intelligent and articulate for her age, was that she started a little over a year ago with taking a stand. So what does that mean? What that means is that she actually had something she cared about deeply. Most of us do. So think about your thing. What is it that you care about deeply? What is it that you want to see changed in yourself, in your business, in your family, in your community, or in the world? Changed, improved, whatever that might be. And what is it that you then are willing to be a stand for? And here's the thing. There's a brilliant line in there right at the very beginning of her speech to, I'm not sure, I want to say the UN, but I'm not sure. And she says, "I don't care about being popular," because that's what stops all of us. The fear of looking bad or of not looking good. That's what gets in the way. Approval, concerns about other people's judgments, stories about the concerns about other people's potential judgments, and what it means about us. We have all sorts of significance and meaning that we apply that gets in the way of us really being who we want to be in the world and making the difference that we want to make. So what I really loved about this video, aside from the fact that it's very well done and inspiring, is that her stand is for climate and the environment and really making a difference in that regard. What she started out with was basically saying, this is not okay. This is not working. She was willing to say the truth. I love the line in there about, and you leave it up to the children to say the truth that you're all afraid to as adults, something along that line. Because I have seen more honest and frankly impassioned children speak on that topic than many adults as of late. And rightly so. They're the ones inheriting this shit show that we're creating. So it's about her making a decision that this is something that she cared about and that she was willing to take action on. So she was willing to speak out and willing to take action. So the action that she took was she took a day off of school every week. So obviously had, her parent support in some way, and went and had a sign and protested outside of her government buildings about climate change. She did that consistently every week. She did a day where she sat and she would talk to people and she would engage them and she would try and encourage discussion around it. So she was willing to speak out because she cared. She took action and went to be seen and heard in an appropriate forum for the change she was trying to impact. And in that process, she enrolled other people in her vision. People were enrolled based on mutual self-interest and on really being a shared identity. So other environmentalists agreed with her cause, agreed with her stance. Other children agreed with her stand for the future of their planet and their ability to live here. Other people who agreed with her based on some kind of mutual self-interest and shared identity then started to support getting the word out. So they also started, some other kids also started taking a day off school, which grew and grew. It became a social meme, was then put out on social media. It then, within less than a year, became a movement around the world. But it happened because she stayed consistent and resolute in her stand. Even though in the face of opposition, in the face of people who clearly judged her, in the face of people who did not only not approve of her, but disapproved of her, she was willing to stay the course. So this is, by the way, a kid. I think she's 14. I'm not sure if it actually says in there, but in and around that range. So she stayed the course, and out of that, a movement was born. And out of movements like that get enough notice, get enough momentum, get enough pressure on the right pressure points, change can start to happen. But the point that I think is really important is change never happens as the result of the movement. Change happens because of the first step in that process. I'm just being touched by the courage of the people who are the first step in the process. I'm touched by people who are willing to be a stand for what they believe in. Even 14-year-old girls who want to talk about the environment, and who then create a global movement of people around the world. Not that she organized it, because she didn't, but she catalysted it. So we don't have to take on being the saviors of the world. We do have to take on being a stand. And I know for me, that's been something that's gotten in the way of taking that stand, is the belief that I somehow have to carry all of that weight, that I have to be the initiator and the person to carry that vision across the finish line. In fact, in launching the League of Exceptional Women, something I'm very committed to doing, part of what has stopped me or daunted me has been a belief that I have to, a limiting belief that I have to have the answers to the question of how do we redefine success in business, for our planet, for this time in history? How do we reinvent a system that can replace the patriarchal world structure with something that's actually workable for all of humanity? It's a big freaking question. And it's kept me out of being in action because I thought I could not lead until I had the answer to that. What I realized is I didn't have to have the answer. She doesn't have the answer to how to reverse all of the climate and environmental challenges in the planet. She is simply a stand for it must be done. And in that conversation, she's enrolling other people in taking care of the specifics and the mechanics and the ways of doing that by pointing out what's not working. So yes, we do have to tell the truth about this is not working. So whether it's in a relationship, in a family dynamic, in your business, in your solopreneurship, in your charity work, wherever it is in your life, where do you need to point out what's not working? The emperor has no clothes. Be willing to say what is. And be willing to be a stand for the vision of what might be possible, even if you don't have the means or the mechanics for making that happen. And in fact, perhaps especially if you don't, because then it's even more important to enroll others in the solution. So part of how I got past my stalledness around the League of Exceptional Women was by realizing that my goal, my vision, is to enroll other women leaders, successful business women and women of influence around the world, in being part of a collective, a community that is coming together and collaborate and co-create the change that we want to create. So it's not about one person having all the answers. It is about a new way of doing things, and part of the new way of doing things is collaboratively working together. What a notion. So I mentioned in the little blurb about this that we would talk about what it takes to make change. So the first thing it takes to make any change is courage. The courage to be willing to be judged, the courage to be willing to not know, the courage to be willing to take a step even when you can't necessarily see it. One of my favorite movie moments of all time is Indiana Jones in the Temple of Doom, and he's pursuing the Holy Grail, and he's gone through a series of obstacles and challenges, and he's reached one where the Grail is across a chasm in a cave on the other side. He's standing in a cave on this side, and it looks to him like there is nothing but a huge canyon between him and that other cave where his goal, his objective, his desire of the Holy Grail is. His calling is there. And the clue that he has in this quest is, because we always have clues in our quests if we will listen or pay attention, is that he must take a step of faith. So he musters up his courage, and without knowing how it's going to work, he steps into what appears to be thin air and lands on I don't want to ruin the surprise if you haven't seen it, but lands on a land bridge that is disguised and you can't be seen. We often can't see the next steps in our process. And they're often disguised as, hard work or possibilities with other people or various things that it gets disguised as. So we don't see it. But just because we don't see it doesn't mean that support is not there. What it does require is for us to be willing to have the courage to take that step. So where in your life right now, really practically on the court in your life, is there an opportunity for you to take a step of courage and speak your truth, whatever that may be, in order to be a stand for something or someone you care about? Because in doing that, if all of us do that in our own unique ways, it does make change. Now, some of those changes grow and grow and grow and become, global movements and perhaps get this young girl a Nobel Peace Prize. Awesome. Some of them simply make the difference in another person's life by having someone believe in them at that moment, or by having a memory that is a fond thing for them to look back on, or by eliminating someone in your life that may not be supportive or good for you and changing the trajectory of what you will and won't tolerate in the future. There are so many ways that we can make a stand for ourselves and for others, for the planet, for various causes. But it all starts with that first willingness to simply be courageous. Now, courage is not without fear. Courage is typically with fear, or otherwise you wouldn't need the courage. So it is being willing to act in spite of fear and to take a step, even without knowing what that step might be. So what might that be for you? Now, when I talk about, my stand and my commitment is to recreate the patriarchal world structure, I got a Sunday or two to put towards that. It's because there are so many things that are just not working. And by the way, patriarchy, if you hear that as men versus women, that's not at all what it's about. Patriarchy is supported by men and women, and it's a system and a structure that has been around for thousands of years, and simply many aspects of it simply don't work. And we've been making some incremental progress in theory. So for example, in the patriarchal structure, it hasn't been in men's best interest to pay women as much as they get paid. So they don't. So in the 50s, women were making about $1.60 to every dollar that men were making. Now we're up to a whopping $1.81. If you're a white woman in North America, by the way, it goes down from there based on ethnicity to the ones at the bottom of the totem pole, which are Latinos or Latinas, at $1.52 for every dollar that men make, doing the same job. Okay, so, and people can debate that, but just go look up the statistics. They are reported widely. It's not something I'm making up. Every time I mention that, well, not every time, often when I mention this to women, they say, oh, but look, we've made progress. In 70 years, we still aren't on pay parity. How does that make sense? And how on any planet is that progress? That's not progress. That's mild appeasement at a detrimental rate. and it's not functional and it doesn't work. It, in essence, systematizes the fact that women are not as valuable as men. So this needs to change. It's only one aspect of many, many components of what is and isn't working, including environment and climate and so forth, in the current structure in the system. So there's a lot of things that need our attention and our love and our care and our vision. So my encouragement is, what is it that you want to be a stand for? Because I know it is a daily recommitment to being the change in the world that you want to see. As Gandhi said, I think it was Gandhi, be the change in the world that you want to see. So this is me re-encouraging you to go out and say what you need to say, be the voice for that change, and make the difference that only you can make, because only you care about that thing in that way enough to actually be a stand for it. So whatever that is for you, please, please, please step up, step out. And I don't care if it's, selling cookies to fundraise for a Girl Scout troop, or taking on, kids in cages in the US, or, global thermonuclear warfare, or simply being, not simply, sometimes very complexly, being a better wife and mother. Whatever it is that is your stand, my encouragement is, if you are at your edge of comfort zone around it, and you know that on the other side there is something more that you can contribute, there is something that's not working that needs to be addressed, there is something that it will take some courage for you to speak out about, stretch. Go beyond that comfort zone, go beyond that edge, and be that change. If you have questions about this, comments, you want to share stories of your victories in this regard, or ask how other people make those leaps, or just celebrate this young woman in who she's being and what she's doing, then I encourage you to post here on the Bodacity page under Bodacity Project, to post in the Bodacity Action Heroes group, and to really be willing to engage just in this concept of, today, if I had more courage, what would I do? And go do that thing. All right, everybody, this is Jeanette Anderson signing off from Bodacity, wishing you a bodacious and courageous week. Go watch the video, be inspired, and like I said in my post, if she can do that, what can't you and I do? So have a bodacious week, and I will see you soon. Share your challenges and victories in the post below, or in the Bodacity's Action Hero groups, and have a wonderful, wonderful week, everybody. Bye-bye.